Hey friends, Dave Paulides, Canadian Missing Project, a copyrighted edition for our video channel, and we are with the executive producer of the show, really the star of the show, Hawk. Well, this is a Skinwalker episode for July 11th show. Hawk's going to hang out with us and make sure I do everything correctly. And I got a lot to report with this show. I just got around to watching it, actually. Sorry I'm a little late, but I've been in the field. And there's some things I can't say and some things I can say because I'm under an NDA. But I will tell you this. Flew out of state, went to a location where there was supposedly portal, wormhole. And I went there. I'm pretty convinced something is going on at this place where I went to. One of the people we were with was carrying an EMF meter. Unbeknownst to us, as we approached the location, the EMF meter went crazy. So, being the astute people we are, we walked out of that area. It went off. Completely off, went to 0. 4 or 5, normal. Then we went back in and went crazy again. And we're in the middle of the woods, middle of nowhere. Kind of like a Skinwalker ranch thing. But we weren't at the ranch, weren't anywhere in Utah. Someplace entirely different. It was an eye-opening experience. Stunning. So, my ideas about what's going on at the ranch have evolved. A couple of observations. When people go out and study complex weather, like thunderstorms and things, as an example, use airports. They have instruments around the airport that can detect wind shear. And if it detects wind shear, then they ground all flights coming in and out because it can force a plane down right onto the ground quickly. Well, my question really comes back to why, with the resources they have at Skinwalker Ranch, they don't have EMF meters and a multitude of other devices on 24/7 around that ranch. Namely radiation detectors, that would be another one. But this was brought up to me when I was out this week by some people much smarter than me. And I got an appreciation that what they're doing at the ranch is highly interesting. Now this week they brought in a group of scientists that had worked for the federal government. Now I need to tell you something about this. Our federal government has a black budget and nobody knows where billions and billions and billions of dollars are going. And they say it's for national security reasons. But we do know, as an example, that Dr. Fauci's department funneled millions of dollars to the Wuhan lab to do research, supposedly for us, at a location out of the country, Wuhan, China. Now, nobody knew where that money was going until Congress started to drill down on it and demand answers. So it was told to me this week that, I've got to be careful with this, that our military has been funding companies with US dollars, tax dollars, and making the company appear as though it's a private entity, a privately held company, doing research. When in reality, it's a wholly occupied and funded company by our government. And if you looked at it truthfully, it's just a government entity in and of itself. But it's designed to do a couple things. First of all, if there's ever an audit, it's a black budget project. Nobody knows where the money goes. Second thing, if you do a Freedom of Information Act request on a certain type of technology and it's operated by this company and patents are held by this company under people's names, it's not the government's. So your FOIA, Freedom of Information Act request, comes back with nothing. Yeah, I'm just some dumb guy. I'm not very smart, let's face it. Not the sharpest knife in the drawer. But it did remind me tonight at Skinwalker Ranch, when they brought all these scientists in from a couple different companies, that they were all people that had worked at the ranch and done research for the ranch for the government. And now they're all at this one company. Find it kind of interesting. And in fact, Travis works for another one of those kind of companies back in Alabama. Now, I am not saying that they're government agents or government employees right now. I'm just saying I've heard this from several people in the last 6 months. So I look at things carefully. Now, for whatever reason, they are pounding this triangle area at Skinwalker Ranch hard, as I would too, because of its unusual nature and what's happened there in the past. Let's go over some of these things because I think it's important. This area above the triangle, they've had UFOs fly in and disappear. They've also recorded a quarter-second time anomaly. Now, let me stop you here. I've also done time anomaly studies, and we did this in Vanished. You can watch it on Amazon. We brought in 2 scientists who found a time anomaly in front of the cave dwellings at Mesa Verde National Park. And friends, they were absolutely, completely, 1,000% stunned they found it. They replicated the test multiple times. It was there. Why was it there? And why were we looking for it? Because there was a huge group of people that disappeared in Mesa Verde, a tribe of Native Americans that the Park Service even admits they don't even know where they all went. So could there be a portal there? Could there be a multi-dimension area there? Well, I doubt the Park Service would ever let anyone do the level of testing that they're doing at Skinwalker Ranch above Mesa Verde National Park. But there is a time anomaly there for sure. And we did that 4 or 5 years ago. Now again, I'm not anywhere near Travis's level. He's a genius. And I'm not even anywhere in the level of these guys that are working for the government. I'm just your dumb second-hand quarterback that likes to review things. That's it. Now they bring in a guy named Nathan Whitehead who had a flamethrower. And they put him up in a basket at 31 feet and they shot the flame into this entity that's above the triangle. Initially they said that when they looked at it, they thought that the flame split. And then Travis did an analysis and he thought maybe it split like that because it was looking for oxygen to go to. It made a lot of sense. Now, Cameron Prince, another individual, brought in a Tesla coil, handheld one. And David Mason brought in several cameras that were high resolution FLIR. And then they reiterated that almost every experiment in that triangle gave them some data that they didn't have before, that they thought was interesting. So they started their night of research with a couple of rockets shooting them into that 31-foot level. And then one of the cameras caught the object, the rocket, going up and slightly diverting, going around, and then going straight back. It's like it went up to that object, curved around it, and rather than curving and going straight out, it curved, came back, and then went straight. Which rockets don't do that. So it's some kind of force that forced it out, but then brought it back. Very strange. Now, the analysis they did on TV isn't the real one I wanted to listen to. I wanted to listen to the chatter between Travis and the other scientists that he brought on board that wasn't talked about on TV. The Tesla gun was lifted in the basket up to 31 feet, high frequency, high voltage, and it shoots something that looks just like lightning. Something that 600 volts, they shot it right into this blob above the triangle. Nothing happened. So, what were they trying to do? Just trying to poke the bear to get to do something? Poking it, trying to get it to respond overtly? Again, I've never heard a mission statement come out of these guys. And every project I've ever been on, anywhere, had a mission statement. I just think it's odd they don't. Then the flamethrower went up. It split the flame like I thought. They did a high-speed analysis of how the rocket moved. They used an object called near IR. And that is high-speed IR that is catching something. Well, above this blob, and to me it reminded of a close-up version of the sun without refined edges and just a lot of little dots. There was one thing up above near the top that looked like an orb, and it was moving with intent, and it moved into the blob and disappeared. I think that was something big. Now, they also talked about when they've done this before, they also saw another orb that was flying past this blob. So, are these orbs coming into or out of this object? And what are they, and where are they coming from, and where are they going? Now, this is my stupid mind working. So I'm thinking that these guys are doing everything they can to get this object to do something. I think simplistic terms. Why don't they get, and you guys are going to laugh, but that's just me. Why don't they get a crop duster? Yeah, regular old crop duster. Back when I was a kid, my dad had a contract to clean swimming pools commercially. And every once in a while, during the summer, I'd clean pools for him. And part of what we used to flush filters in swimming pools was this stuff called diatomaceous earth. Natural product. It's like crushed shells, but it's extremely fine powder. Why not fly a crop duster over the top of this thing at like 200 feet and drop a couple tons of diatomaceous earth over the top and see if that settles over it and exposes it? Okay, stupid idea. I got you. Why not drop colored water over it and see if the water attaches itself in some way? Okay, maybe a bad idea. But there's people out there much smarter than me. They could think of using this analogy with a crop duster to fly right over the top of this thing and expose it for what it is. This man, Jay Stratton, he actually studied the ranch in the past. And he came back as part of this team. The company was called Omnitech. Jim Royston was the CEO. And what they did is they set up antennas looking up to pick up a signal from the International Space Station as it flew over the ranch. What they wanted to see is what would happen and if that transmission would be interrupted by this object over the triangle. Well, they used Lidar. Total time, the scientists stated that the space station would be able to be picked up by the ranch was 8 minutes. They extended it to 10 minutes at one point. Well, the Lidar drone, run by Omnitech, went up into the air and was filming this, and suddenly the GPS malfunctioned and they lost the space station signal. And Eric's signal on their own data table crashed. Essentially, everything crashed. Now, this isn't unusual for what's happened there. And I know a lot of people, because I read your comments, a lot of people are upset thinking that the guys are fabricating these events, doing this for entertainment purposes. But you got to remember that these companies are bringing in their best instruments and telling the public they're failing. I don't think that's a good advertisement for them. So I don't think that they'd be doing this unless it was truly happening. And these are some of the most sophisticated pieces of equipment in the world. But they all fail simultaneously. It's almost impossible unless there's some other advanced intellect controlling that area. And they reported that there's a 1.651 gigahertz signal straight up above the triangle. It's beaming like their words, a beacon. At the same time, they lost communication over the triangle with the space station. So they have this 8-mile or 8-minute range while the space station flies over that they can pick it up. Well, right in the middle of that is the triangle. As the space station flew over the triangle, they lost all connectivity with it. As it reaches the outer perimeter of that 8-minute segment, boom, communications picked up again. So something is either obstructing or blocking them from picking up that signal. Then they shot a rocket up and it split the Lidar, and they said that was a super surprising event. Second rocket they shot did nothing. In fact, they lost it, and they talked about the area being cloaked or masked for the second launch. Then they downloaded the second launch and what the Lidar picked up. And the Lidar is up above this, shooting down with a series of lasers. And when you're looking at FLIR or Lidar, it shows colors. And in the middle of this triangle, they have an obscure looking kind of circular blackness. You're looking down at the property from above. The object's here, ground's here. So as this drone is with the Lidar is up here, it picks up this black blob, and then it gets green, yellow, and red shades. And they said that something was blocking the Lidar in that black zone. And they said, well, it could be a black hole. And a black hole is something that absorbs energy. And others, in fact, Travis said it could be a traversable Lorentzian wormhole. And he said if that was true, it would make everything that had been happening at the ranch understandable in the past. And he said it's probably the most unusual series of events he's ever seen at the ranch and what they're exposing now. But he said that they're going to expend serious resources towards understanding this specific part of the ranch as they move forward. And I'm excited about that. I do believe that there's probably too many wormholes, multidimensional layers, portals in our world that we just don't understand right now. I say that because what I just experienced this last week and what I've seen experienced right here in Montana. So I don't even need to go out of state to see something unusual. But even with the smartest scientists that we have available to us, and even bringing in government people, they can't precisely put their hands around this right now. And they're working in areas science has never seen a wormhole in action. Science has never seen multi-dimensions. Science doesn't understand where the other dimensions are going. Science doesn't understand if these open and close, or are they permanent, etc. But when NIDS, National Institute of Discovery and Science, was at the ranch, they did see a window-like object open up above one of the meadows, and something came crawling out of it. Sure sounds like a portal to me. And so far, these guys really haven't hammered that home yet. Now, obviously, if they could catch that on film, it'd be outstanding. But I know that some of you, even if you saw it on film, wouldn't believe it. And the best example I could give you is the Patterson-Gimlin footage of 1967. That footage is unbelievably good and true, and way before we ever had technology to play games with it. Disney Studios said that they could never make a costume as good as what that Bigfoot was wearing at Bluff Creek that day. So I know some of you would discount even great footage. And for those people that are watching this, I really ask, why are you even here? Because if you're here just to demean me or the scientists of Skinwalker Ranch, keep your comments to yourself and just move on. Because we're here for discovery. We're here for understanding the unusual. And if you don't believe in the possibility of these things, then I respect it. Just move on. Don't rain on my parade. Because I'm trying to be a critical thinker here. Because there is something going on at that ranch. It's been going on too long. Privately, publicly. Which is why Mr. Bigelow bought it. And which is also why he sold it. Well, near the end of the show, one of the guys said, well, this is pretty exotic physics. And they said that something has bent the light from that Lidar that made that black segment in the middle of the triangle. Never seen anything like that. Travis said he'd never seen anything like it. So I'm excited to see what's going to go on. The last couple episodes have really opened up and brought my interest back on the ranch. So I appreciate it, guys. And in the meantime, Huck is sound asleep right here. I must have bored her. I hope I didn't bore you. But you're going to hear more about my travels in the future. I guarantee it. And in fact, hopefully sometime in the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'm going to bring you an interview I had with somebody that'll blow your socks off. Blow your socks off. I was invited to a person's ranch. And I sat down, and many of you are going to know who this person is. He was completely open. Nobody having to do with the ranch. But this person knows a lot of what's going on with UFOs and things. And the crew I was with that filmed this, they said, Dave, we've been doing this for decades and we've never seen an interview like that. So hold on to your seats. It's going to come out in the next couple weeks, hopefully. And it's for you. The only reason I did it was for you. So appreciate you being here. Huck appreciates you being here. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. And be safe. Be a critical thinker. Don't be gullible. Hang in there. Much of science happens accidentally. Much about science are found by amateurs. Sometimes science wasn't meant to be looked at. And I know we consider this science what we're looking at Skinwalker Ranch. But if it's an intelligent entity that's playing games with us, is that science? Paulides out. Need you.